Legacy Media is falling apart, and as it crumbles, a void is opening, a void that we intend to fill. The big legacy news networks currently average just 1.2 million viewers a weeknight, and those numbers are only going to get lower. Legacy Media is dying, and the younger generation has moved on. Legacy Media panders. Legacy Media lies. Legacy Media does not know what the truth is, and they don't care about it. Legacy Media is a dumpster fire. This is why we few in our wild imaginations have started the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Our goal is to take down the legacy media giant of the last 50 years with our 5 stones. We started in 2016 with our flagship show, Cross Politics. Since those small beginnings, we now air on DirecTV. Our broader podcast network now gets over 4 million downloads a year. And our Fight Laugh Feast pub, which includes TV shows like This America, The Rowdy Christian's Guide, Pastors in Politics, and As the Lord Pleases, with your support, many more to come. Our goal is to become the flagship new media 2.0 network over the next 50 years and take over nightly news, sports, sitcoms, hunting shows, and more, all conveniently stored for you in our Fight Laugh Feast pub. We're already reaching the next generation through our podcast shows on YouTube, X, and our pub, while also tapping into legacy media audiences by airing our shows on TV through DirecTV and Xfinity. We have made a lot of progress with some duct tape and a good bit of intuition and a lot of sweat. And now we need your support more than ever. The TV networks have had such a negative impact on our households, and we're trying, by the grace of God, to put a stop to that. We have the opportunity. We just need the army. Now more than ever, we need you to join our pub to help us reach our goal of 1 million pub supporters in the next 5 years. There's no way around it. Competing with Fox and the Alphabet networks without money is virtually impossible. It's cheap for you to join. And when you do, you're combining your small monthly support with a growing army of like-minded Christians. We have thousands, we need millions. So if you want more of the Alphabet network's misinformation and lies, don't join. But if you want to give us a mere 5 stones, then please join the pub, and together we will take a swing at the head of big media, all the while fighting, laughing, and feasting to the glory of God.
Sipping your coffee.
Yes.
I have coffee in here.
That's incredible.
I brought it.
I'm not a big iced coffee person unless I really need to pound it in the summer.
This is hour 3 of me talking today, so I was like...
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Water Break on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. We actually pre-recorded this show today because this afternoon, me and my wife and the kids are heading out of town for a couple days. So we're here every Thursday at 2:30, and sometimes it's pre-recorded. That's all. Next week, I'm actually kind of excited about this. Let me turn this down just a little bit. Next week, we have our big Grace Agenda, our church conference here, big Grace Agenda conference happening. And on Saturday night, we take over downtown, and we do kind of everything's free food for anyone who shows up in downtown. Even if you're not a Christian, like, show up, we're going to give you free food. And so as part of this, we take over downtown. We have all these booths and food booths, and we do ice cream. Cross Politics does ice cream, sponsored by Water Break. And we do meat. There's tri-tip. There's all sorts of food in downtown. It's a fantastic time. It's Saturday at 6 p.m. Show up for it. It's just a great time in downtown Moscow, Idaho. But as part of that, this is what we're going to be wearing. It's super cool. I like this.
Yeah, I kind of already have one of those,
apron.
right?
You have one, but it's the smaller print. I figured out how to make a bigger printed one.
Can I have another one?
Yes, yeah. I got one specifically for you for serving ice cream next week.
Oh,
yeah.
It's my least favorite.
That's our Fight Laugh Feast apron. We should do a Water Break apron too, It's like, I don't know what it'd look like, but,
why not?
Food's good for the soul. Something like that, And so please show up. We're also, Cross Politics, doing a live show on Thursday night at the New Art at 7 p.m. And then lastly, we're doing an after party at our house on Friday night, probably about 9 o'clock on Friday night. We'll have cigars and drinks there. You bring drinks too, because we don't know how many people are going to be showing up. So that's next week. Pretty exciting. our conference is filling up. October 31st through November 2nd in Fort Worth. Go to prodigalamerica.com to sign up there and everything. So thank you for joining Water Break. And you just kind of kick us into the subject, baby.
Yeah.
Just take us there.
Yeah. Well, Neil, what did you end up naming the show?
Help.
He doesn't know yet?
He hasn't. Well, it's hard because
Faith and fitness.
I know. No, not the whole show, but just this show.
I know.
He texted me, but I was teaching. He always texts me earlier in the day, like, what are we talking about today? And I usually have like a little catchy name ready. I did not. And I was in the middle. I was teaching.
Thank goodness it's pre-recorded because he can make the title after
we can talk about
speak.
it right now.
Yeah.
Well, and it's basically, we've told you guys many times that you can
reach out to us
reach
at
out to us,
RenchMedia@gmail.com.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I like this. Help. How can I fix years of bad habits? That's pretty good. So anyways, many of you have, and we love it. And one nice lady, I'm not going to use names today, wrote me an email just asking for help, asking for advice. And it was so good. And like,
it captured a lot of people's sentiments.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just was like, everything that is in this email, so many people have asked me. And I just know so many people struggle with. And this is coming from a wife and mom perspective because she's the one writing it, but this will definitely involve the dads in the conversation that we're going to have too. So I asked her if it was okay if I read it. And she said, absolutely. So here we are. I'm going to read it and then we're going to talk through it and try to answer some of the questions. And then I also kind of have some broader, more meta things that I want to talk about that I think will pertain to all this.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. Here we go. Hi, Gabe and Annie. I know this is hard. Hi. I know this is hard for everyone, but my husband and I struggle a lot with prioritizing home-cooked whole foods. Pretty common. We were both single adults living and working on our own and establishing awful habits throughout our 20s and half of our 30s. Then we got married when I was 34 and he was 36, so got married a little later.
I remember that Jack in the Box run at 1 a.m. in the morning. So good.
No,
Those Jack in the Box tacos, better than you think.
I mean, it's a thing. And we now have a newborn baby. Okay, so a baby's in the mix. Congratulations, you guys. I'm finding it difficult to undo our 15 to 20 years of awful habits while encouraging healthier habits in our young family. Well, you know what? Yeah, and way to be honest. Yeah. We're both grossly overweight, eat way too much fast food, and are way too used to eating in front of the television. We can't really afford to make small, slow changes as we want to try and have at least a couple more kids, and we're fighting against the clock on that. Yeah, I get that. So I'm impatiently prioritizing home-cooked whole foods, as I've heard you stress before. However, I need easy shortcuts. Do you have any advice on how to keep healthy, easy, convenient snacks and meals on hand? Foods that are easy to get on the table after a full day of work when our evenings are full of nursing, baby care, chores, etc. Usually I try to plan or meal plan and grocery shop on Saturdays and do a little bit of food prep, freezing, but I don't have much time, if any, for food prep on the weekend. Specifically, I want Pop-Tarts and chicken nuggies when I'm tired and stressed, and my husband turns to chips and queso. We get that too.
That's very complimentary. I love me some chips and queso.
It's hard. I know, that's so good. And so many people are this way. That's all I want when I'm stressed and tired. Also, I can cook fairly simple, easy, healthy, whole food meals for dinner, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I can't seem to crank out 7 dinners a week. Okay, we'll talk about that too. Planning a meal, having groceries ready that don't go bad by the end of the week, thawing meat, washing and slicing vegetables, and getting it all together every night isn't happening. What an email. I mean,
yeah. And I got,
who can't resonate with that?
I don't know who these people are. I didn't get to read the email. This is my first time.
Yeah, it's
so I'm going to say some mean things and I don't know who these people are.
Well, it's probably better. Are you just saying mean things right off the bat?
Right now.
Okay,
yeah.
Gabe's going to go. Okay, but first off, don't be really offended. Whoever wrote this, we're speaking to you, but also to everybody. To everybody. Like, and we don't know all your details. Like, I don't even know. One question I had, and I didn't ask because I didn't want to know because I thought it would be. I don't want to come off like we're piling on. I wanted to ask if you, the mom, are working all day, if you're working full time. It kind of sounds like you are based off of this email, but I don't know for sure. But we can speak to both.
You have additional job outside the house.
We can speak to both circumstances. But do you want to do your thoughts first? Because boy, do I have a bunch.
Yeah. So the woman is the woman of the house. She's the lady of the house. She's the manager of the house. It's your lane to be, figuring this out. The husband should not be behind this. He should be out in front of it and encouraging you in this process. And he should be leading in the change. If your husband is not leading in this, then you're going to be a little frustrated changing your. I've even had this challenge with my wife a little bit. I got high blood pressure, high blood sugar, diabetes runs in my family. And if I agree to something that my wife, we both agree, like, okay, we're going to have, I'm going to eat less bread. if I agree to it and I'm not in it and my heart's not there and I'm not leading in it, then I'm not going to do well with that agreement, and that's happened between us.
Can you guys even imagine? Can you imagine him being difficult about this?
I mean, just surprise.
I know
okay?
You guys are shocked. I know you are.
And so whatever happens here, first of all, your husband needs to lead in this and commit to that. Secondly, it is kind of related to this, is that we have a problem in our culture where we either idolize food or we look at food as a guilty thing, a guilty pleasure or whatever. The Bible says, I'm thinking of Corinthians, where it says, food does not commend us to God. So this is Corinthians chapter 8, verse 8. Chapter 8, food does not commend us to God, neither if we eat are we better, or if we don't eat, if we are vegetarians or feasting or whatever. Mm-hmm. So food does not commend us to God. So we should not look at food as like this guilty thing. And it's always what you do with material is agnostic. Material is not sinful. It's what you do with it. So a gun is not sinful. A burger is not sinful. It's, how are you stewarding it? That's the sin. So don't look at food as like a guilty thing in your marriage, because that's going to that's not a long-term solution for dealing with maybe some more fundamental issues in terms of, again, I don't know you guys, is there some laziness involved? Is there, there's obviously, they're admitting bad habits. There are bad habits involved, but get right with God in how you view food, and that'll help you make some of these changes without some sort of conscious thing here. The other thing I want to say, I know you're going to have a lot more to say, so I'm just going to kind of get.
No, it's fine. It's fine. This is the first time you've heard it, so it's interesting to hear kind of where your brain goes.
Yeah. And so, like I said, we either idolize food or we look at food as some sort of guilty thing,
like it's bad or shameful that you ate it.
Exactly,
that kind of thing. And you're saying that's not a helpful or healthy lens to look at any food.
That's exactly
whether or
right.
not we deem it as more healthy or less healthy.
And it's not going to create the long-term changes guilt. Being driven by guilt it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We want to be. We don't want to be guilty driven. We want to be, God blessed driven kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then related to the food thing, Paul later says in 2 chapters later in chapter 10, talking about food, he says, he's talking about food that was, offered up to idols, and he says the earth is the Lord's and all its fullness. So he's talking about food that was offered up to idols. You can eat it. We don't believe in that God. That God's not even real. You're more than welcome to eat that meat because it's the Lord's meat. Mm-hmm. It's all of God's. The earth is the Lord's in all its fullness. So I think if you look at food as something that is a gift from God, this goes back to dealing with that guilt driven. You want to be guilt driven, you want to be grace driven, not guilt driven. If you look at food as a gift from God, well, it's all grace. And I think that allows you to look at food in a way that you're going to be a good steward of it and be grace driven and not guilt driven in this conversation. So that's obviously, I tend to think more theological and about these things. My wife's way more practical.
Yeah, but it's
about
good.
These things. But I think how you approach this in the first place is like, husband, dude, you got to lead in this, man.
Yeah.
If you don't lead in this, your wife's going to be frustrated.
Get on board.
And if you both acknowledge that you guys have some bad habits over 20 years or whatever, then you got to lead your family out of those bad habits. Yeah. That's your job. You're the head of the family. And then the last thing, and then you can take it from here. The last thing is the dinner table is so important for building family culture. Like turn the TV off at dinner.
Yeah. Get
rid of sitting in front of the TV and eating. Sit in front of your wife and eat. Sit in front of your kids and eat.
Yeah, that's good.
I love my dinner table. I love coming home. Sometimes we have to rush through dinner. That's okay. I love coming home and sitting at dinner with my wife and my kids because I'm gone all day. It's a little different than you. You're there.
Right.
I'm gone all day, and I just want to hear what everyone did that day.
Yeah.
I go through.
It's a really important time, especially as your kids get older, life gets busy.
That's right.
And they just had a baby, so
so they're just beginning in this.
Totally, you'll naturally get there when your kid's old enough to like sit up to the table and talk to you. Some of it might just be where they're at.
That's right. That's 100%.
Yeah, that's a really natural way to get away from eating.
But you want to establish those habits now, right? Or your whole family's gonna be sitting in front of the TV. 10 years from now.
It happens, and it just becomes your normal, you know?
Yeah.
It just becomes your normal.
And it's a great time. It's like you just wind down, you stop, you put your phone down, you just hang out for sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes it's an hour.
Yeah, right.
And you just enjoy each other.
Yeah.
Whether your kid's full age or not, but then you start involving your kids and holding their hands with the prayer. You know, it's like then you start involving your kids and praying, talking, asking them questions. So it's just to build that dinner culture for your family. You will be blessed over the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And so husband, you should definitely be encouraging your wife and leading in that. And to the wife, again, I don't know their names, but to the wife here, like, this is your ministry to your family. Like the dinner table is a huge ministry. And not only to your family, eventually to friends and fellowship that you guys build around your table. So look at this as like one of the most important things that you're doing that day is ministering to your family by creating a nice little dinner environment, whether it's a salad that you're eating for dinner or a big steak. Like, it's all ministry every night here. So
that's a good point. It's really important. Hey, those are good. Those are great thoughts. Okay, well, I have this. I read this email weeks ago, and so I've just been like thinking about it because she just touches on so many things that just come up all the time. And so I really do hear you, and we're gonna and you are really not alone. I don't know if that makes you feel better, but you're not the only one who's living very has at least some of these same challenges or whatever struggles. So I wanted to start with just some like you said, practical stuff, because I think people really want that. And some of these things we've said before, but we'll say it again, and we'll kind of try to apply it to your situation, hopefully, and then a lot of other situations that are probably very similar out there. But then I want to go big picture. But I think let's start with some of the just practical tips and thoughts about how to make a busy life when maybe the habits are bad, health isn't where you want it to be. You throw a baby into the mix. What can we do? What needs to be done in order to start steering your ship towards, or your what do we call it? The window.
Overton window.
Yeah, the Overton window. Start moving it. And like you said, you guys are already 34, 36. You just started your family. So I understand you feel a little bit of urgency. You're like, I can't afford to get healthy in 5 years. I kind of need to do this now. And I would agree with you. So I completely understand. So talk basic tips, and then we'll go from there. Okay. And these are in no particular order.
You wrote out basic tips.
I wrote them down. You're
going all the way, baby. Way to go.
Thank you.
Guys, you are paying my wife the big bucks for this right now.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you to meal prep, and you're going to be what?
This is a lot of money worth of my wife's thoughts right now.
Oh my gosh, so much money.
Paying
all right,
the big bucks.
Let's get going. Okay. No particular order. I jotted them down as I thought of them. The first thing is, ladies, you have to meal plan every single week, no exceptions. Okay. And it sounds like this listener is aware of that and they're trying to, so that's good. But it's like, sometimes something is true, but in real life, you don't prioritize it like it's as important and necessary as it is. And whenever you don't do that, it often doesn't happen. And that's true of anything. But meal planning has to happen every single week. Almost, I can't think of an exception. And this sort of situation, busyness, bad habits, baby, full-time, maybe husband probably works, the wife might work full-time, I can't tell. You have to. Okay, so.
And you're saying that because if you don't plan, well, you're going to get bad results.
You're going to pick up fast food on the way home. I mean, you're tired, you're stressed, you're already dealing with the craving of the foods that aren't probably the best things for you right now. And you're just going to be like, let's just go to Burger King. I'm exhausted. Like you don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan, the meat doesn't come out of the freezer. If you don't have a plan, you don't have a recipe ready. You have to have a plan. Now, I would not say meal planning and meal prep are the same things. I don't we'll get to meal prep a little later, but it's not absolutely necessary that you're like chopping up things and pre-cooking things on the weekend necessarily. Although if you work full time, you might have to. But you have to at least plan. Okay. So like pick a non-negotiable day in your week where no matter what, you will meal plan. Maybe that's Friday afternoon. Maybe that's Saturday morning.
And it sounds like she does it Saturday afternoon.
Or maybe you try to, but you're running out of time. It's just so. And again, maybe you're already doing this, but I'm speaking to more than just this listener, just everybody. Right. You need to make a plan. I have an actual. Gabe makes fun of me all the time, but I have an actual like paper
physical
planner.
Calendar,
like my mom
planner,
like my mom's.
She buys a new one every year because the calendar flips over.
Well, that's what you have to do. Yeah. You buy a new one. in a different color. Well, whatever.
I mean, because there's an app for this.
It's
but
big.
My wife doesn't.
I like it to be really big. And I like to be able to every week. Our life is incredibly busy.
Yeah.
We just do. I mean, a lot of it really is. So
whose life is not at this age? He just stays in the game.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're pretty, our life is zero sum game with a little extra kind of falling out, off the top. So, I mean, I have to. So every week I like to see it. I mean, it's literally Monday through Sunday. It's all in front of me. And I already have all the activities and all the extracurriculars and the things. And then I base what I decide to make and when I'm going to make it off of what kind of week we're going to have. If I didn't do that, we would never eat food at night. That wasn't just like straight out of a box or just, chicken nuggets or mac and cheese ever. Like you have to do it. So you have to meal prep. So if you need to leave the house in order to get that done, and that sounds extreme, but if you're like a really busy mom and you're just like little kids there all the time, it's really hard to have peace of mind. It's hard to have a quiet time because most moms need it. You just need like 30 minutes to an hour to just have it be quiet so you can think. So if you need to go to a coffee shop in order to make this a ritual, in order to think straighter and just plan your whole week out, husbands, you make that happen for her. Yeah. If she's struggling to do this, you literally need to be like, how can I help you make this happen? Because if there's no plan, none of the other stuff that we're going to talk about is going to happen, no matter how good your intentions are. So you have to do that. A second thing I want to say about this is that if you're moving towards eating healthier food, so more real meat, more eggs, more produce, right? Veggies, fruit, which is what we should all be doing, you're going to have to shop more frequently. Because she referenced that, like buying food and trying to eat it before it goes bad. It's a real thing. It is a frustration when you shop and you try to time things right, but then you end up throwing these green beans away or this meat's too old or whatever.
Right.
So you will have to shop more frequently. I could not recommend enough doing either a grocery pickup,
like a Walmart
or
pickup,
a delivery.
Yeah.
Okay. So if this is a struggle for you, I do a grocery. I don't know why I don't do delivery.
I've told you should have it delivered.
I know we live a little outside of town, but like, it's like, why don't I just do it? Why don't I just make them appear on my porch? That would be really nice. But I'm in town a lot because I work and my kids do sports and school and all these things. So it isn't that big of a deal for me to do a pickup, but because of the kinds of foods we eat, to your point, a lot of produce, I mean, it's really the produce that goes bad so fast. And I have 3 kids who will not stop eating. I do a pickup every other day because I'm just always adding things to my list and I'm like, pick up. So it's going to be frequent and you need to plan for that. You need to accept it into your heart as a reality and you need to plan for it. Some things you can freeze. If there's a meat sale and you like it, buy a bunch of it, toss it in the freezer. That's fine. Just remember what you have. But just know when you are eating healthier, it's going to be more frequent trips to the store. So if you have not already considered a pickup or even better, a delivery, then do that. And again, husbands, if this is something that you guys have access to, which most... there's Walmart's.
Get your wife the Walmart app. Yeah.
Get her that. Pay the, what is it, $50 a year or something? It's not that much. Gift that to her if that will help. And if you're not already doing it, I can almost promise you it helps.
And the other thing about the Walmart pickup is oftentimes a lot of the junk food, can just be mindless as you're walking through Walmart down the aisles.
Little of this, little of that, toss it in your cart.
The pickup thing, you go into the app and you're very intentional about what you select and buy.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Okay, so those are kind of the things around the meal planning. You have to do it. And I also will say this, I like to meal plan like on Saturday. And then if I have to go actually into a physical store, I don't do those on the same day because meal planning for me takes a while because I shop my fridge. I look inside my fridge, like what do we already have? What's going bad? What could I use? What could I put into something? Just because I don't like wasting food. I mean, I try not to. And then I sit down and I plan it's like literally just meal planning and me planning the entire week. That wears me out and it's like a full hour usually. And so I don't like to then go to the store. Sometimes that's like too much. So you can separate these things out. Meal plan Saturday, shop Monday, something like that. So just think outside the box and figure out what's going to work for you. And if that includes getting a babysitter so you can do it, do it. Yeah. Okay. It's part of you running your household. It's very important. Yeah. Make it happen. Okay. In terms of we said you have to meal plan. Let's talk about what each one of your meals should look like. And again, it looks like this listener is on the same page of what these meals should look like. It's just more of a struggle of actually getting it done. But I've said this before and I'll say it again. Plan each meal, every single meal around a big hunk of protein. I literally, like if you listen to me, thinking or talking out loud as I'm meal planning, it's literally just like, what meats do we want to cook and how do we want to eat them? And then everything else is like, well, what side goes with that? Or what veggie have we not had in a while? What starch would the kids enjoy? Everything is all about the meat, everything. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah. And I would add here, salmon, chicken, steak, tri-tip, whatever. Dudes, one of the ways you can bless your wife is get a grill.
Yes, that's on here. It's in here somewhere.
It's already on there.
Learn how to grill. Invest in a good one.
Yeah, invest in a good one. And I enjoy it. Actually, I've set up, I got this little barbecue pit area at my house now.
It's a grill palace.
I'm from Texas, so we like to smoke meat too. We'll smoke meat. I'll be out there for 8 hours smoking meat.
It's fun. It's like therapeutic.
It's therapeutic. It's fun. It's all that.
It's art also. It's an art.
But it's a nice way to contribute with your wife to dinner.
It's huge.
And she doesn't have to worry about the protein. You can, and
I can,
she can put everything together.
Or you can do that, and I can just do the sides. It saves time.
That's right.
It's awesome. It's such a blessing. It's delicious. You're teaching our son how to grill. It's not like actually, honestly, women can grill too. I need to learn to grill because he's gone so much, but I've refused. Because in my mind, I'm like, that's his job, but I really need to learn.
Yeah. My wife's a feminist when it comes to barbecue. Is that what it is?
That's a man job. I will not do it. No,
it's not a feminist. What is that? What is that?
What is it? What's the
the
opposite of
she's anti-grilling. I tell her, because sometimes I'll have to work late or something, and she'll wait for me to come home and cook the meat. I'm like, you can. I got a propane grill and a charcoal and a smoker.
Can't do it.
She's like, I can't.
Teach Cash. He will do it. But one thing I'll add in here, you guys, gentlemen and women, if you are on top of the meal prepping and the pulling of, and you need to be, and or the meal planning, I should say, and you get the meat pulled out in time and you just plan. Often, his weeks are very busy, but often I'll look at my schedule and I'll say, Tuesday, I want you to smoke a couple of tri-tips.
Yeah.
He can smoke those on Sunday.
Yeah.
It does not have to be the same day. And that right there, just again, thinking outside of the box, like you have to make everything right then. You absolutely do not. Things freeze. And meat, smoked meat in particular, I think it's better a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people might disagree. As long as you don't dry it out. It gets better as it sits in your fridge. So you could grill the night before, the 2 mornings before, like whatever works. And if you're just communicating, husbands, you could just literally be like, hey, wife, every week, you want me to smoke anything? You want me to grill anything for you? These are some open slots I have. It doesn't have to be right before dinner on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that's actually really helpful.
The leftover smoked meat tastes way better than the smoked meat you just pulled off the grill that night.
It does nothing but get better.
Smoked meat is amazing that way.
Soup's the same way. It just usually gets better. So that's a thought. Okay, so back to this point that we were making is that you're planning every single meal around your protein, and then literally you guys keep it simple, okay? I think I'm mostly, to this listener, we're not trying to be fancy here. That's not what you need, right? You're already feeling like overwhelmed, and then like, is it Jim Gaffigan who's like, pretend you're drowning and then throw a baby at them.
Like someone asked him, like, what's it like having a fifth kid?
Yeah.
And he said, well, pretend you're drowning and someone throws you a baby.
Exactly. Yeah. I get it. Your life was already kind of stressful and full, and then someone threw a baby at you. So we're not looking to go like really fancy here, and you absolutely don't need to. So just literally grill or roast or crock pot a protein, roast a veggie, and then add a clean starch or carb on the side if that's a good idea for you. All right. And it is for some people, it isn't for others. Yeah. But that is as simple as it needs to be.
Yeah. Oftentimes our meals are a good steak and some green beans.
That's truly. And then like a baked potato for the kids or some rice for the kids or whatever. And I'll eat
I don't get carbs right now.
You eat.
It's super sad.
Oh, do you?
I mean, I sneak.
He eats some, yeah.
Yeah.
But also,
not for dinner.
and when you cook that way, I call these transitional meals. It's nice because there's all your macronutrients are kind of separate.
Yeah.
So it's not like a tater tot casserole where everything's all mixed together. Those are cheap and they're easy, but you're going to be able to serve everyone at the table. Like if this person doesn't eat gluten, no problem. If this person needs 2 baked potatoes because they're a high school athlete, great, have it. Like if this guy has diabetes, high insulin.
I don't have diabetes. Don't say that.
I was going to say diabetes in your family, sorry.
Okay.
This guy, he can just not have that, and he can have extra meat and extra veggies. So it's really nice to cook that way. Season your food. And if we're dealing with years of bad habits, which it sounds like we are, and again, you're not alone, allow for time to change your taste buds. Your taste buds will shift.
Yeah.
But it may not be your favorite food right now, but make yourself eat it because it's good for your body. And allow for your taste buds to change because they will.
And one of the things both my wife have done in this process is we've gotten good at cooking. I grill. What are they? Split peas? What do they call them?
Snap peas.
Snap peas. Yep. Snap peas. I've gotten good at it. I didn't like snap peas when it first started.
Yeah.
But also, I wasn't really cooking them that well. I just kind of cooked them. I didn't know what, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to the point where I like the flavor of what the seasoning I put on, the olive oil, the fire that burned in it, how long I cook it. So you can actually get good at, make some good green beans. Don't just like boil them,
Yeah.
Put some lemon and feta and stuff and garlic salt, or
feta is fantastic in green beans. Cruciferous does really well with so broccoli and cauliflower do great with like a Parmesan that tastes super good.
Yeah.
You can also get like Trader Joe's ranch seasoning. It's like literally just like ranch seasoning, and that goes really well in cauliflower too. It's so quick. Chop it up, dump it on a sheet, olive oil it, roast it for like 12 minutes. Like super fast. So that's the kind of thing you literally could do right after work and eat at a reasonable time.
Because you'll never like just green beans boiled. You'll never like that.
Yeah,
So get good at doing it, and you actually
play around with your seasonings.
And then like, mushrooms with steak, or, start pairing things that go real well together. And you actually, over time, you'll like it because you're actually not just your taste buds are changing, but you're actually doing better with it.
You're actually making it
preparing
better. That's a really good point, because real whole food is delicious, and it really is, but you just need to season it. And it's okay to have favorites, and you can start making lists, put them on your fridge of like, these are the sides we've tried, these are the ones we like, this is the meat, these are the recipes that I'm starting to, collect that are simple, but actually taste good. Okay, taking meat out. It's so funny because she mentioned that just in passing, thawing meat. It is such a thing. When I'm doing nutrition counseling for women, they're always like, well, I just can't remember to take the meat out. Yeah. I just can't remember. And then we end up at Panda Express because I didn't take the meat out, and I'm just like, you guys.
You're subconsciously doing that on purpose.
I don't think that they are. But listen, I'm just going to say this, okay? I'm going to say this, and this is going to come off harsh, and I don't mean it that way, but listen, you will do what is important to you. If something is that important and you're like, I can't forget this is very, very, very important, what will you do? You'll set a phone alarm. You will write a sticky note. You will put the sticky note on your bedside. So you're like, okay, I got to do this tonight, so it's unthawed by tomorrow. You will do that. Okay. So again, this is an issue, I think, of maybe saying that something is important, but not actually living it out like it's important. And I talk to my kids about this all the time. I'm like, if mom told you to do 3 things and you don't think you can remember, what are some things you can do so that you remember? And they're like, write it down. And I'm like,
write it down.
That's what you will, if you really, really care. You need to care about this, because you're right. You can't eat frozen meat for dinner. You're absolutely right.
I'm sure you're going to talk about this later, or maybe not, but like, oftentimes, one of the thought processes is, if I start heading this direction, it's probably going to cost me more money. And my instinct is it's not. Because if you're eating out and getting fast food every day.
Oh, you mean this direction that we're talking about?
More, steaks and, salmon or whatever, kind of your grocery budget might go up, but your fast food budget's going to go down. It's like, And so it's my instinct would be in this is that if you, make some of these habits and change some of these habits, your grocery budget's going to go up. You're going to see it there, but probably in the long run, you're actually going to probably save money on your food, because
not eating out, and that's another point that I'm going to tell you guys to do, will save you a ton of money. So planning, being prepared, having a plan for food at home, ultimately probably will save you money, even if you end up spending more money on, like you said.
Your grocery budget goes up, but your fast food budget goes down.
Meat and produce. And also just stop buying, we'll get to it, stop buying all those snacky snacks. That'll save you money too. We'll get there. Okay, you said husbands learn how to grill. I wrote that down. I said sticky note or phone reminder for taking meat out. Stop forgetting that. And I don't mean magically remember more. I mean, do what you have to do to be reminded. Like write 10 sticky notes, but whatever you have to do until it becomes a habit. Like at this point, I'm so meat centric in my mind. And whenever I'm planning, like I literally write in my planner, take this meat out, and I highlight it. I don't highlight a lot of things in my planner. But that's one of the things I do because it's that important. How did I figure that out? It's not that complicated. It's just important to me. That's all. If it's important to you, you'll do it. Okay. So stop thinking that you'll magically remember. No mom's going to, our brains are too full. Remind yourself somehow, because the meat's got to come out. Okay. Here is another one. Another point that I really resonated with. You're like, I can make 2 to 3 healthy meals a week. I cannot crank a new one out every single night. And frankly, neither can I, because of the way our life is. Maybe if I didn't work outside the house, I could. But I do work outside the house. So because of that, what I have learned to do, and this is a huge one, you guys, if some of you are already doing this, maybe you already know, but I only make on average probably 3 full meals a week, and then we eat it again the next
That's
day.
excluding Saturday.
I mean, that counts because we'll eat those leftovers on Sunday.
Yeah.
Now, you have to, this is something I'm struggling with right now because our kids have rapidly just recently started eating a lot more.
Oh, my goodness.
So like the amount of meat
huge.
that used to feed us twice, Monday and Tuesday, for example, it's like it will feed us Monday and then us on Tuesday. And it's like, shoot.
Yeah.
So I'm having to adjust there, and you have to learn, amounts in order to get 2 meals worth out of it. And sometimes we literally just eat the same meal. Like we literally did steak, and we sauteed some mushrooms, and we did a baked potato. We're all eating it again tomorrow. Now listen, some of you might be like, oh, it's brilliant. Others might be like, that's so boring and I hate leftovers. But frankly, if you're this busy and overwhelmed with one kid, you need to get over that. Like,
but also here's the deal.
It's got to happen.
Yeah,
it does. And it's usually men that complain about leftovers.
Annie will have me cook, a tri-tip or 2 on Monday night, and then we'll eat those as a second meal on Tuesday night.
Yep.
Cooking that way, grilling, smoking, or whatever, like the food is just as good the next day, sometimes better.
Oh yeah.
So it's not
an issue of it not tasting good. Some people just are very finicky about leftovers, and it really drives me crazy.
But the next day you can also put a twist on it. So one day, Monday it's tri-tip and your green beans, and the next day it's maybe you slice up the tri-tip and put it on a salad or something.
Totally. And I was just going to say that you can if you can do taco meat 2 ways, you can do steak 2 ways, you can do shrimp 2 ways. So you could totally mix up the side, do something different, but mostly whatever is the most time consuming, which is usually the protein, I try to make enough so we eat it twice. And like we've done that for years. And I specifically plan with my beautiful planner. I look at, which nights are more free? That should be the dinner making nights. And it's never the same. It just depends on who has a volleyball game, who has this, who has that. And then which nights would I more appreciate having dinner already made? And so that's how I plan. And that right there, if you don't take away anything else from the practical side of this conversation, that is a game changer. Yep. And again, maybe I think it's awesome if you have the time and the money and the energy to make a dinner every single night. And again, I think I would aspire to that if I didn't also work outside the house. But at this point, that's about the best I can do. But it seems like a good solution for still eating real healthy food and having it be home cooked. It seems like a good little hack. Okay. Okay. And I don't want to go on too much more on the practical side because I want to talk about the meta step. But here's point number 3. You will eat what you buy. Okay. So when you say,
or you're just crazy.
Or you're crazy. But
and you don't eat what
and we've kind of hinted at this, and I know this is obvious, and I'm not picking on just this listener. I have this conversation with people every single day. So, but I'll use this as an example. When you say, I want Pop-Tarts and chicken nuggets when I'm tired and stressed, my husband turns to chips and queso. You know what will keep you from eating any of those things? Stop buying them. I mean, seriously, you guys. Stop buying them. And everything that Gabe said at the start about like, don't feel shameful. It's not like these foods are inherently evil. They're not. But if you know you have a problem and you have years of bad habits, you're overweight, your health is not where you want it to be, you're trying to have more kids, all the things. And again, not alone. Stop buying this food. Did you guys know you can do that? I just feel like some people are like, what do you mean? And I'm just like, stop buying it. Stop bringing it into your house and having it be there and telling yourself you probably won't eat it. I mean, come on. Like, how many years have we all done that? You know what I mean? And everybody has their foods, like they're kind of trigger foods. Some people it's chips and salty things. Chicken nuggets, pop. Like, just stop buying them. Okay. And I know this sounds kind of, I don't know, kind of obvious, but so many people are still buying this stuff. So if you just 2 things, stop buying that food that is not good for you, that does not serve you, and that you crave, and you have a hard time having self-control around. And secondly, just tell yourself, we're not eating out. Just make it not an option right now. And I say that, and I say draw some hard lines, because sometimes that's what you need in order to get from point A to point B, to really, really change your metabolic health. Years of habits, which is what it sounds like we're dealing with here. Down the road, when you're where you want to be, your habits are much better. Your taste buds have shifted. You don't crave things as much. You're at a healthy weight. Then be like, okay, we can eat out once, a couple times a month if we want to. I still think it's healthier not to, and you'll save money not to. But if you really enjoy it and it seems like a good idea for you, when you get to where you want to be, I think loosen up. But right now, just have a hard rule. Like, we don't eat out. I mean, just don't. And if you meal plan and you set the timer so that you de-thaw the meat and you make your week, you plan it smartly so there's food there all the time, you won't need to eat out. You know what I mean? You won't need to eat out. Another thing I want to say, and this kind of ties into the snacky thing, because you said, do you have any, those are sorts of the things that you want to snack on when you're stressed. And you asked, like, do you have healthy suggestions for snacks? And I do, and I'll give you some. But one thing I want to say is that generally speaking, adults shouldn't be snacking. And that's a fun one. Some people, it's not an issue. Other people are like, are you kidding me? I snack all day long. If you're needing to snack all day long, and I've said this in previous shows, usually there's exceptions, but usually it's for one of two reasons. Number one, you are not eating enough protein at your meals. Okay. And there is an actual, what they call the protein leverage hypothesis, which basically states that the body, until you hit a certain threshold of protein, it will continue to cue you to eat until you get to it. Okay. And then if you add on top of it, the types of foods that you guys are often snacking on are garbage, right? They're not healthy. They're going to spike your blood sugar, make you hungry for even more after you crash. And so it's just this vicious cycle of not eating enough protein at your meals, especially at the beginning of the day. You want to start your day with a big hit of protein, not with sugar, not with nothing. Actual protein, Greek yogurt, eggs, meat, stuff like that. That's just gonna kind of set you up well for your blood sugar to do better, so that you're not always wanting to snack.
Yeah.
And okay, so those are really, what did I say? I said there's two reasons. One is that you're not eating enough protein. And the other is, the types of foods that you're eating. So I will say, if you start bulking up your protein, being very intentional about it, doing all the things that we've already talked about, you will not need to snack as much. Now, you might crave certain things for a while because your body and your brain are accustomed to getting them. It's not like you just magically don't want Pop-Tarts anymore, but if you don't give yourself Pop-Tarts for a couple weeks, those cravings will go away. I mean, they actually will. My gosh, this is gonna be the longest show. When I used to run relays, like a Hood to Coast or Ragnar or something super intense, you're running max effort anywhere from like 4 to 7 miles 3 times within like a 24-hour period. Even when I was more low carb, which looking back I shouldn't have been, but I was during that time. I would carb up quite a bit during those because you just need sugar, constant. And so I would eat I would always do gummy bears. That was like my favorite thing. It worked. It helped me run fast, helped me recover, sat well in my stomach. But anyways, whenever I would run one of those, I would give myself candy, which I never did. And I always had to prepare for craving candy for a full week after that race was over. And I had to just brace for it.
I remember that.
I ran so many, and you'd eat it and it'd be fine. But then you'd be like, here comes a week from death, where you're just like, literally, there is like a gummy bear shaped hole in your heart. And it would always last for about a week. And if I could just get through the week, the cravings would go away. And that happened every single time, almost to the point that it didn't feel worth it. But I just was like, whatever, it works. And then I would just white knuckle. So really, it's addictive. This stuff is addictive, and you have to get off of it. You got to get off it, just like you got to get off cocaine. You know what I mean? And so just get off of it and know that you won't crave it forever. Okay. And I'm being serious about just saying, make eating out a no. And rearrange your life, change habits, do something so that you are not constantly needing to eat out. And this is the last thing I'm going to say before I get a little bit more meta. If, ladies, you work all day, and we're going to get more into the concept of working all day, should you be working all day? Like, we're going to talk about that in a second, but it is what it is. And I want to deal with all of you in reality. And I don't know everybody's situation. I know sometimes it's like you have to, or who knows, not usually, but sometimes. But if you do work all day, you have to meal plan and possibly prep and do a lot of home stuff, laundry, things like that on the weekends. You have to. You absolutely have to. You are, if you are making that choice, maybe you should be, maybe you should, I don't know, to have a full-time job during the day or most of the day or whatever it looks like for you. You do not also get to relax on the weekends. And that is just the price you pay. Because there is no other time. Like, there is no other time. So when this listener says, usually I try to meal plan and grocery shop on Saturdays. Yeah, good. And do a little bit of food prep, freezing, but I don't have much time, if any, on the weekends. My question is, what are you doing on the weekends that you don't have time to do this stuff? Because again, if you do work, like a full-time job or close to it during the week, you have to. Like, there's just no other time to do it. So I just want to kind of put that out there. Like, it's not really you don't get that luxury if you choose to work a lot during the week. You need those 2 days on the weekend to get all that other stuff done. Because as it turns out, being a wife and a mom is in itself a full-time job. So what you're doing is extra. And so I don't know what you mean when you say you barely have any time on the weekends, but you need to make time. Like cancel, stop, quit, whatever. You can't have both, in my opinion. So that's just kind of a sad truth that I think is very true. Do you have any thoughts about that?
No.
Okay. I want to get into the meta stuff. Okay. And I'm sure you'll be able to chime in here, and I'll try not to make it go too long. So hopefully that was helpful, you guys, especially ladies, but hopefully gentlemen too, just on the practical side of just things that help, things that need to happen, things that will make things go smoother. And we love to give practical advice, but now I want to talk about the concept. And again, I don't know this particular listener. I don't know if you're working outside the house, if you're working full time, or if you're just doing the wife mom thing and feeling really overwhelmed. That can happen too. I'm not sure. And so I don't want you to feel like I'm piling on. I'm talking to everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking to everyone, but this is a big thing. And this is coming from someone, me, I have 3 children. I have worked outside the home as long as we've been married. I am obviously for it. I do it myself. I'm not against it at all. But the longer I've been alive and I've been a wife and I've been a mom and I've worked, my thoughts on this are I couldn't be more opinionated about this, about what I'm about to say. So, ladies, our number one job, if you are a wife and a mom, obviously, your number one job is to take care of the health and the well-being of your household. It is by far your number one priority. Like it has to be. That's biblical, obviously, and also it won't work unless it just doesn't work.
Someone's got to manage it.
Someone's got to do it. You have been chosen, and you are the most gifted at it also. Okay. So that it's what God tells us to do. He doesn't say in his word, and you can't do anything else, but it is your most important job. And that right there, I myself have messed this up, I think, in the past, where I've never been like, well, it's not important, I'm not going to do it. Never. But I think, like I said at the start, it is very true to sort of believe something or say something, but not really live like it's true all the way. So I'm talking to myself here just as much as I'm talking to any of you. But I really can't understate this, that if you cannot do that, take care of the health and the well-being of your household, that includes your own health. And obviously you're the one making all the food and making all the plans and having the babies. And, it trickles out to everybody, your husband, your children, everything. If you can't do that under your current circumstances, something needs to change. Period. Something needs to change. It absolutely
this is an important point,
needs to change. It's a very important point. And again, I don't know anybody's particular circumstances. I'm just kind of saying generalities, but everybody, if you are a wife and a mom and your health is struggling, you're struggling to put even remotely healthy food on the table, you're struggling to even make dinner, you're struggling to be organized, you're struggling to do all these things, something needs to change because you are not doing a good job at what should be your number one priority. Okay. And I'm not saying that to make you feel bad, but sometimes just these things need to be stated like this or else, nothing will ever change. And I can give you all these little practical tips or these little things, but ultimately, your paradigm is so important, and it needs to be so important to you that you are willing to do things like quit your job. If that's what it takes. So one thing I've seen kind of 3 main things with women that tend to be hindrances for them in terms of just actually killing it.
I have not heard this.
Oh.
This is going to be part of our marriage and health book.
Yeah, we're going to put this in our book. The 3 biggest ones, at least in all the years that I've worked with women, that I see as being the biggest hindrances of them being able, like physically able to be a good wife and mom at home, is number 1, working outside the home or working outside the home too much. And again, I'm not saying it's bad for everybody. I do it, but that oftentimes is a huge issue. It's not going well. She's dropping the ball at home and she's working outside. So just not good. Another one is just poor time management at home, poor thought life and just poor general life habits. So just generally being undisciplined. And I don't want to interchange undisciplined with lazy. Very rarely do I find a lazy mom, honestly. They're out there, but very rarely are they lazy. But you can be very undisciplined, still trying hard, but just very undisciplined in terms of what your daily habits are, how you triage situations, your thought life, all of that. So some of it's just that. And then also the inability to say no to anything, all the things. And sometimes it's a combination of all 3 of these things. But really, and listen, if you're a wife and a mom and you're killing it, then keep going. If it's working for you and you're with your particular personality, your habits, your life situation, how many kids you have, the kind of husband you have, don't worry about it. But if you look at yourself and you do a self-assessment and you're like, I'm not healthy. We don't eat well. I don't have time to make dinner. I'm too tired. whatever. We're eating out all the time. My husband isn't healthy either. Assess if it's for any of these reasons and be honest with yourself. I mean, honestly, every mom, and this could probably apply to a dad too in its own way, but I feel like you need to be willing to quit your job. You guys need to be willing to move to a smaller house so that she can afford to quit her job. You might need to be willing to move to a different city and state so that you can afford for her to not have to, pay the bills as much. You might have to cut out friendships that are not serving you and are taking up way too much of your energy and your time, like in your emotional bandwidth. You might need to quit a club, a group, volunteer work, or any other commitment that you tell yourself you can't quit, but you absolutely can. Let me tell you, ladies, you can quit anything. Okay.
We've had hard conversations about this.
Yes. The only thing you can't quit on is your own family. So I'm saying do a hard look at what your day looks like, what your time looks like, where your actual priorities are. Not just like if someone said, what are your priorities? You know the right answer, my husband, my children, but are you living that out? And I will also say, husbands, stop putting financial pressure on your wife to pay the bills. Like, stop it. Like, there might be, like, I'm trying to be, like, there might be an exception here, but I think very rare. And I talk to women all the time, and I don't know if they're putting the pressure on themselves or if it's their husband doing it. But husbands, it is not their job.
Basically, what you're saying is the wife thinks, well, if I don't keep my part-time job, then we can't pay electricity,
or for this school, or for this thing, or for our boat, or for our second car. Or sometimes it's crap you guys don't need, honestly. But I just think husbands need to step up here and lead from the jump, like you said at the start, because women oftentimes really need help and encouragement on this. Like, it's not going to come naturally to her to suggest it. Like, how about I just quit my job? It should be your idea. You should be like, just quit. This is not your job. It is my job. I'm the husband here. So my job to provide. Right?
And I'll add here that it's the husband's job to provide for the family, and that so his money should go towards making sure the bills are paid. There's food on the table, all that stuff. The way me and Annie have worked. So Annie's money that she makes, it'll go towards, she'll buy clothes for the kids, or go towards, a lake trip or vacations.
We call it fun money.
It's fun money.
Or I'll spend it on
and it's not just fun money. We use it more than that. But, she'll go towards maybe buying something, new shoes for the kids or something like that. So my money is going to provide for everything in the house, including clothes, paying the bills, that kind of thing. And one thing that's really helpful for me and Annie and how we've structured it is I'll put twice a month, I'll put money into her. We have two separate bank accounts, so I can manage all the bills, families, kids' tuition, mortgage,
gas,
electricity, gas, all that stuff. And then I give her money in her account to manage the food and the necessities that she needs to buy for the house. And that helps a lot. For one, I don't got to track all the food purchases, which should drive me nuts. I mean, it already drives me nuts, everything I got to track. So being able to sometimes structure can be a hindrance in all this. So structuring in a way where it's freeing for both each sides.
You have to figure that out.
And it helps me too, because sometimes, it's like I give Annie X amount of dollars every month to buy, it's for food, it's for, toilet paper, it's for, all the, she manages all that. And so if she doesn't have the money to spend anymore, she's out of money. Well, she doesn't keep thinking she has unlimited budget coming from the main account. So
right. It's separate, which is really, that works for us at least. But bottom line is I do work and make my own money, but there is no pressure on me to pay the kids' tuition or pay for basic living cost, which would cause me to feel like I need to work more, or I can never stop, even if stuff is going on at home where it's like this needs my attention. And sometimes it's a time issue, ladies. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's actually, okay, I have enough time at home, but my energy is shot. Like, I've given too much energy either at a job or volunteering at a school or doing a Bible study, like all these things, which on paper are not bad things. But you need enough mental and emotional bandwidth to do a good job at home. And I'm just going to be straight, you guys. Some women can handle more than others. Like, some of it is probably just how God made us, and some of it is years of practice, right? And like just figuring it out. So you might do an assessment of yourself right now, ladies, where you're like, I am not doing a good job at home. I'm not prioritizing it. I'm spending too much time, energy, whatever, doing other things. So I need to stop that. And that might be very true for you. It might be in 10 years though, that you can do that stuff and still do a great job. Right. So it depends on you, your context. But the point is, it's a priorities game, and everything needs to be on the table. You volunteering at your kid's school, you working outside of the house, you doing anything, no matter how much you love it, no matter how important it is to you, no matter how much you've had it in your brain is like, I have to. You don't have to. What you need to do is do a good job at home. So if you, and husbands, your wife is going to need your encouragement if you're going to have this hard conversation, because it's hard. Change is hard.
Yep.
And like feeling like you're I don't know, almost like you failed because you couldn't hack it. You couldn't have it all.
Yeah.
We all have to just get over that. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't have it all.
Yeah. That's
Number
good,
one,
baby.
like you really can't.
Yeah.
And your number one calling is to be a wife and a mom and to get that household. And it looks different for everybody, obviously, but you need to get that thing running well. And if that means quitting a bunch of stuff and just slashing, and just like minimizing what your daily to-dos look like so that you're able to do that, then I say that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's really it.
That's very good, baby.
The meta part didn't take as long.
Yeah.
It was mean, but it didn't take as long. I hope that's helpful, you guys.
Yeah. And of course, if you want to email us and be in a conversation and talk to Annie, and your website's up, isn't it?
Yeah, you guys.
Your website's up.
You guys, my website is
Talked about
up.
AnnieWrench.com.
It's just AnnieWrench.com. Easy to remember.
Yeah.
Roz and Julio from Mad Bear Creative did it.
Her sister.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you so much to them for putting all the work in. So you can.
And it's important that you spell wrench without a W. So
Yeah, if you
Annie
spell my name
Wrench.
wrong,
It's
you're
just
not-
an R.
you're not
Just
gonna
an
find
R.
me. You're not
know
gonna
how
find
many times I have to repeat myself. That wasn't even bad. That wasn't a good Trump. I have to repeat myself constantly.
Oh my gosh.
AnnieWrench.com.
Yeah.
And you got all sorts of programs that people can purchase up there.
I do nutrition consulting. I do movement consulting if you want to talk exercise.
Yep.
I've got a couple programs on there. The man plan's on there.
And don't you got like it's not an online class, but it's an online.
Women's online strength training.
Uh-huh.
Yep. It's phenomenal, ladies. If you're looking for a program to just get into and
a group of ladies to text with and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, there's a big group of us, and they communicate in the Signal app, so that's super awesome. And then also you can reach out to me through my website if you have a question or you want to talk about anything. So I would love to hear from you guys.
Fantastic. We've been waiting for that for a while. So thank you for tuning in to Water Break, and we will be off next week. Maybe we do a rerun of a show. That's what we should do. Next week we should do a rerun of a show on Thursday at 2:30.
That's a good idea.
And because of Grace Agenda and our conference and my live show that night, all this stuff, the studio's going to be broke down.
A crazy week.
And so we'll be back live, whatever the Thursday is of the 20-something.
Yeah, okay.
So thank you for tuning in to Water Break.